Shalom, everybody. How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. It is our Monday to study Father's Word, to see what it is we uh, can see Him, by and everything, what He did with all the um, those that came before us. All of them are to our example for the way we should look to Father in our lives today. He's never changing. He's the same today, yesterday, and always. And we will see where it says that, specifically. But anyways, I pray everybody's uh, Monday is doing good. I hope, that it continues to do um, good throughout the week by Father's hand, um, because everything that comes in good and in bad is actually by Him. And like I said, the more and more we keep reading about Father, we will see those His own words stating such things. So that's why it's always good to get yourself caught up to His words. So this way you know, you have the armor of faith on for whatever He does send your way to test you or to see where your faith is going to hold to. Are you going to stay strong in this one moment? But He always does things for our good. It's not for the bad. He has plans for us that are good to prosper us. We just have to know how to look at Him through all these examples um, when things come. So I just pray that it's always a blessed one, a blessed week. If not, that He's also your help. He's also your escape route. If you know how to learn Him by His word, He does. He shows you how to, when those tests and trials come, He knows how to bring things into your remembrance, your memory of where it states certain things that you're seeing or going through right, in the present, something that came similar to it, and how that person handled that, and then you're like, oh, I really don't need to worry about this. It's all going to be taken care of. And at that moment, when you start showing Father, you got this. I don't got to make something happen to make it go good for me. And that's the moment where He smiles on you for believing that He's the one that will handle it. And when that happens, then all of a sudden you see the manifestation, Him starting to move things in your favor, and you're just like, I didn't even have to worry about this. But that's just to keep you guys encouraged. That's why I pray that our week remains blessed. But when those things come, may we also know that good and the bad, that we always give Him thanks and praise during them, and know that sometimes it's just a test. Unless, yes, there is that unless part where you're not giving yourself over to Him as you once were. Maybe your love is starting to fade from when you're just all about Father, and maybe you're just now at a questioning state. Maybe those trials that you didn't know that He was in them this whole time started weighing in your spirit, and now you're starting to deviate from Him. Well, then now He's reaching you at a different point where you're starting to making Him your enemy. Sadly, because sometimes that's where a lot of people, because they don't read on how His character is, who He is, they give up. They think that, or they get mad, or maybe they don't become thankful in the trying time of it. And so then now He meets them even in that type of situation where now they want to look down on Him, like, how dare you, what kind of God can he's the creator. He has a right to do whatever He wishes to see the hearts of us, to test our hearts. But I pray that it always, it's always in the good, as long as you're staying on the path with Him. Like I said, if not, sometimes those curses that can come because you've chosen to give up on him or get mad with him or whatever. Pray many, get back onto the right path. And and when you do that, I pray for everybody that's gotten to that position where now you're just angry with him, or maybe you just don't, you know, I don't know, just you're angry with him for just thinking on that type of thought. That you turn back to him, because he is he doesn't stay angry long. You know, if you come back to him, then he gets back to loving you all over again. He's quick to forgive, and he's quick to bless all over again. So if you ever feel like, and I probably feel like I kind of feel like I've said this before in my previous studies already, but I don't know. It's just something I always want to bring into remembrance of it, even if it's been a while, and or it has been said before, just so that way we can always know that He is the one we need to turn to at all times for everything. But anyways, pray your week stays blessed. If there's a test, I pray you pass it, because He will help you. Alrighty, so let us get started with prayer, and then I will put the timer on for us to get started. And I pray that you guys can hear my voice good, and it's not sounding like muffled. I'm conquering um, the sickness that came upon our house, and even that time, because it does, things come. There's a time for everything. And even with those moments, that's when I start giving Father praise and thanks, for my healing, even if I haven't seen it, fully come into effect right away. Just start praising Him and knowing, telling Father, I know you can take this away. I stay faithful at giving Him, my love during that moment, because I know it's coming by His hand. And amazing, um, when I hadn't gotten to this point of putting my full on belief right with Him, in knowing that He can take it away, quick. I used to just have like this kind of, not attitude, this kind of mindset, with like, well, sickness comes and it's just gonna, do its course, and there's nothing I could do about it, in a sense, kind of even putting that on Him, like there's nothing you're gonna do about it, because it's just the season, it's here, and I just gotta wait it out. But rather than me learning how to thank Him, during things, and believe that He can actually shorten it or even diminish it, I had to put full efforts to doing it, because of my belief not being quite there, to thinking it could be so. I just was like, one of, it's gonna happen, on its own kind of thing. Let it do its course kind of thing. But no, ever since I've been um, reading more and getting back to it, and getting involved and finding, brothers and sisters, the to assemble, and to, do things as Father would have us to be doing, as we keep reading, you're going to see how it is that we ought to be as a body, and me leaning on people, and telling, my brother and sister Messiah, please pray for me, seeking elders, and just putting all my efforts to what I see that He wants out of us as His followers, as His children. That's what we call ourselves to Him. He's our Father who is in heaven. Um, and so therefore that makes us children. And, and because He can do miracles, uh, I put Him in my own little type of box, I guess you can say, where it's like, if He can, make the ocean split, or the sea split, and if He can, um, what else did He do? The plagues, all these plagues. If He can do phenomenal things like that, can He not hear my prayer? And take away these, the sicknesses that I feel come, you know, at their times of the season, much more sooner, or not at all, not give it to me at all. Could he block me from that? And I needed to get myself into that type of like belief. I really had to work on that. And now, this year, I can say, because I've been efforting a lot to show Father, I believe in you strongly. I do believe in you, and claiming this and declaring. There's another thing, and I didn't really practice much until one of our pastors was encouraging us to, write declarations, believe, know, claim. um, that was another thing I didn't do much practice, but now that I'm starting to show Father, I believe you can, I know you can, I am yours, and declaring such things before Him. This time around, the sickness that we encountered, yeah, it came, but it was short. It was short, I have to say. And not only that, I had energy during it. I can't describe it to you. From what I can recall of what I experienced um, previous years to this time, it would drag for me. It would take, sometimes it felt like it was going to be a whole month for me to get rid of this sickness that would come, by the common cold or the common flu, and I felt like it was just dragging. And then I would have this dry cough that would just, it lasted. But this year, I have to say, I'm seeing Father work, in my life to show me I have been with you. I've just been waiting for you to grab a hold that I can do such things, but you hadn't been giving me no credit. And, you know, and yeah, we can come to those places of like putting Him in our own little box, or not thinking beyond what our own thoughts on, you know, things we see by the natural, and we have our own assumptions to things. But I have to say, I am getting over it, but I just hope that you guys can hear me, because I am at the last stage of like a muffled sound. But anyways, let's get on to it. Abba Yehovah, we come before you giving you praise and thanks today. We're here on another Monday to come with one another to read your word. And I'm asking, Father, that you show us your hand um, through the through our brothers and sisters that lived long ago, the ones that you called out, and we can see you in their midst. We can see what examples, how they, went about in their walk in you, listening and obeying you, and how you helped them through certain things, or what you did, in their favor, from just putting their faith into action for you. So I'm just happy, Abba, that we do have your word, so this way we can look at you and start letting you define yourself to us. Many of us come from, backgrounds, denominations that have kind of trained us, in a sense, to put you in a box where, it's only certain things are put into motion in the congregations from where I've come from, or we only are supposed to know you so much, know you, um, what you're able to do only so much, and believe in that. And then, but we never go on to read you for ourselves. And that's where we have erred, Abba. We have become so far from your truth in all these other denominations. And I pray that many more come to this realization that they, it's not hard to read your word, and they can have a relationship with you one on one. I pray for all denominations to wake up and come out of these things that sadly some know truth behind it, that there is a beguiling, there is a programming, but some don't. I know some don't. So I pray that there is much more hearts um, growing softer to reading your word and seeing and testing, and something within them is giving them an unction, like, wait, I've never seen this before, or this doesn't make sense to what we uphold, those type of questions. That's you working in them, letting them know, like, yes, you're seeing exactly right. What you are upholding is not something I have said for you guys to be doing. That type of awakening that I remember experiencing when you started calling me and drawing me closer to you. So I pray that on everybody, Abba. So, and thank you, and we are here to hear from you. In Yeshua's name, amen. Okay, so let me put the hour on. Sorry, I didn't have it ready ahead of time. There we go. I had to find it in all so much apps. Not because I download them. It's my phone. My phone, when it upgrades, it brings me so many more, and I'm like, trying to find everything. I have to delete some of them to help myself out. Okay, so we were on, trying to recall myself. I don't know if we read 23 only or if we read 22 and 23. But I know we're getting to chapter 24. That's what we are on today, because I do remember saying that it was one of the love stories. When I got to it, was one of my favorites, with Isaac and Rebecca's story. But let's go through the recap, regardless of it was both chapters or even just the one. They were pretty short to begin with. So we do have the mention of the sacrifice of Isaac, that which took place, that we got to read in chapter 22, and then we got to see the Sarah's death and burial in chapter 23, and that was more or less it that we got through. And even though that it was short chapters, it was the recap of the previous chapters that took up the hour. So, sorry, like I said, I'm on the last of a cold. I'm feeling good. Um, there's just so much that you can think and keep on thinking with Father as you read. So, is it any wonder why we're going so slow, or I'm going so slow? Because things that I once read way back when, and now coming to this position of trying to put myself to Father's commission of us, going out and teaching the nations what we've come to know, and trying to reconcile people back to Him, and grow their faith back to knowing Him themselves. This is what it is, being the body, trying to help others to see this is what we're all called to be doing, getting back to Him and reading about Him, and being able to come in assembly with one another and say, hey, guess what? I read this, and the same. And so, yeah, it does take, when you start reading it yourself, or when you've taken, that one time of reading, then when you go back to reading, you can see so many things passed the first go around. So yeah, I'm sorry if it looks like I'm reading it slow, but I am. I'm doing it in the sense of what I didn't do well enough my first go around when I read, and more with you all in my mind of doing it so this way, because when I first read the word, I erred. I erred in my shares. I had, I was, defending what I knew for my denomination at that time. Um, but I didn't have a full understanding of where I'm at today with him. And now, with me knowing a little bit more, I want to give you the best of what I understand, more patiently now, um, because I see that I didn't have it all together. I didn't have him understood. I really didn't. And so now, because I'm hoping that, it encourages you to read, I'll also hope that eventually, and this is talking more towards those that are just first timers coming to the word. Those my brothers and sisters that already have been doing this, they already have given themselves to Father. But I'm doing it more for those that, within my mind, anyways, um, for you to be encouraged to read, to have that relationship, take your time. So this way, when you finally get to that position of wanting to give yourself to Father, to be an actual child of His, one that's not lukewarm anymore, that you'll go and get baptized fully aware of what it is to knowing Him, what He expects out of you, what He wants, you know. Um, so, yeah, that's the reason why I'm taking such a long time, because one, because of you on my mind, needing to know what I understand now, and having to train myself how to teach it at the same time. But at the same time, with that, um, uh, because I'm going back to the beginning, I'm seeing things much more differently than I had before. So I hope all that makes sense. But yeah, so that's why the last time I read, it took a long time, or on a short chapters, and it took the whole hour. Okay, so yeah, and they were short. So we did see the sacrifice of Isaac. That was a test that came to Abraham, and then of course I was sharing my thoughts of what that might have felt like for Isaac. You know what was going through his mind at that time, having been, you know, bind up by his dad, or bound up by his dad, you know, and how he would have had his attitude at the end of everything. Um, and then we got to Sarah's death and burial, and how we saw Abraham pay these, um, these people with some type of money, for it in exchange, even though they were trying to just bless him and they just wanted to give it to him. But we can see that it seems like Father was getting Abraham known now. Father Yehovah and Abraham, it seems like we're starting to be known. And of course, if we go back to Abimelech, and we saw where Abimelech, when fear came upon him, he went and spread around his the the God of Abraham to his people, and they also feared. Um, and then he let his wife go, but that usually spreads. So, and then of course when we go back over here and we're reading about these people, um, they even looked at him like a king. They, you are a king from a God among us. So I don't know, if you read my description on my last video, where I kind of felt like, okay, did they hold a God that, because I didn't say what was in my description in my video. I didn't. I thought of it later and put in the description, but it came to my mind that these people have a God that they didn't have a name to it. And you can read that same situation where Paul talked to certain people that did have a God with no name, and he used that example to bring in Father Yehovah to their understanding. So it made me wonder, did these people kind of have the same type of situation because they're like, you're a king from a God among us? Or could it be that like they knew they're starting to hear of the name Yehovah, you know, um, depending on how things were spreading, and so they looked at Abraham, as a king, and and they're just recognizing you're king from a God like among us, that this one God that you have from among us. So I don't know, but we see where now he's looked at as like king by people, and then we see a back with Abimelech. I think it's Abimelech, where he was father let Abimelech know that there was a prophet. So we have this prophet and king um, titles being known to Abraham, and it kind of fits well in a sense to what when we read down the road that we are a royal priesthood, like we're like a kingly priesthood, if I'm not mistaken. Something to that kind of seems to fit, and we all come from Father Abraham. And here he was known as a prophet, and he was known as a king to certain people. But anyways, so yeah, that is the recap that I have uh, to move forward now. Okay, so now we are in Isaac and Rebecca's story here. Um, and so Isaac, we just saw that Isaac lost his mother, Sarah. Okay, and Abraham was old, advanced in days, and Jehovah blessed Abraham in all things. And Abraham said to his servant, the oldest of his house, who was overseer of all things, put your hand under my loin, and I will make you swear by Jehovah Eloi of the heavens, okay, the God of the heavens. Sorry for those that are just coming in. I'm not good yet at bringing in where these words that I'm coming across um, as of yet, um, because I mean, not that I can't do it, but it'll take much more time. I'm going to do that eventually. I will, I promise. But there are study Bibles out there that you can go to, or even apps that you can look up certain words, and you can actually get the the English translation back to its original meaning, through the Hebrew word, the actual word itself. You can come to the actual meaning um, of things, or the actual way of saying them. And so for Lord, I've I have been shown that Father's name, there is a name to him. I didn't even know that. But his name is Yehovah, and you can find it. And there is the tools out there that have put the what you had in Hebrew, and of course they translated it for us today, and we have these English Bibles, but it'll give you the actual uh, Hebrew words, or the Greek words to what was spoken back when. And so yes, that's where I say Yehovah instead of Lord, and then of course God, I say Eloah. Um, my husband had came to came across where it's Eloah or Eloah, um, but Elohim is another term that you can say for him, but it can mean all, like gods, like in general, like all gods. But with him, he's just God. So Eloah. So yeah, just to refresh your memory, or for those that are just catching on. Okay, so put your hand under my loin, and I will make you swear by Yehovah, Eloah of the heavens and of the earth, that you will not take a wife for my son Isaac from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I live, but you shall go to my land where I was born, and to my tribe, and you shall take a wife from my son for my son Isaac from there. The servant said to him, perhaps the woman is not willing to go with me back to this land. Will I bring back your son to the land from where you came from there? Abraham said to him, take care for yourself, that you not return my son there. Yehovah, Eloah of the heavens and Eloah of the earth, who took me from the house of my father and from the land where I was born, who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, I will give this land to you and to your offspring. He himself will send his angel before you, and you shall take a wife for my son Isaac from there. If the woman does not wish to go with you to this land, you will be released from this oath, only you may not return my son there. Okay, so last time when we were reading, uh, I did point out where he had his servant, oh, okay, put your hand under my loin. And all that made me think of is like their own type of custom to doing like an agreement, like kind of like what you have by word of mouth. You have that word of mouth, a promise made by word of mouth, or like what you do by like a handshake, an agreement. You do a deal, you do a handshake, and there's other forms of what to try to do some type of, you know, deal or, a promise. And so I guess this is theirs back when, putting the hand under his loin to to give him his word, that this is what you're going to do and not do, you know. You're gonna go and check. You're gonna get this land from where I came from, not from here in Canaan, but from over there from where I came out of. But you're not going to take my son if it doesn't go well, if she's not the one, But to know that the angel will go and help this situation. So yeah, that's what that takes me to. Verse number 9. So the servant placed his hand under the loin of Abraham his master, and swore to him regarding this matter. And the servant took 10 camels from the camels of his master, and from all the goods of his master with him, and got up and went to Mesopotamia, to the city of Nahor. And he rested the camels outside the city beside the well of water, toward evening, when the water fetchers go out. And he said, O Yehovah, Eloah of my master, Abraham, prosper my way before me today, and show mercy to my master, Abraham. Look, I have stood at the water spring, and the daughters of the city inhabitants are coming out to draw water. And it shall be, whichever maiden to whom I say, incline your pitcher, so I may drink, and she say to me, do drink, and I will water your camels until they stop drinking. You have prepared this one for your servant Isaac, and by this I will know that you have shown mercy to my master Abraham. And this happened before he had finished speaking in his mind. Look, Rebekah, whom was born in Bethuel, born to Bethuel, son of Milcah. Okay, and last time I also pointed out where we got to see her family's her family was mentioned in that one section that it was just like put in there to see um, after Abraham got tested, and then it goes straight into like a little piece of his other descendants, his other nieces and nephews that came by his brother, and so she's from that family, that little section piece in chapter 22 at the end. So that's where we can see these names mentioned here in chapter 24 with Rebecca. And so, but now to what we can see in the story, right away we can see that Abraham, there's that one. We can see that Abraham, he's taught so many, you know, about his Elohim, his Eloah, about God, and not just his children. Now we see even his servant gives reverence uh, to Father, and so many know Father through Abraham. And here we can even see that your prayer, you could just be speaking it in your mind. It's not even fully complete by you just expressing what's in your mind to say. And Father can answer just like that. You know, these are things to take note on Father. He's good. He's good to those that come to him. That come to him. I think that's amazing. Sorry, I'm trying to find my spot again. Okay. Um, Rebecca, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, and the brother of Abraham, was coming out, carrying the pitcher on her shoulders. The maiden was very beautiful in appearance. She was a virgin. A man had not known her. I'm kind of deciding, should I mean, it's self-explanatory, but just in case little ones are listening to me speak, I guess. Um, who knows? but known her, you know, marriage wise, relationship status in the bedroom, that type. She was a virgin. Okay, so that's what had not known her. Not to say that no man never known her, like didn't know who she was. Madnan had not known her, like if a virgin hidden away, but um, I'm just having little children in my mind, like but age appropriate. I'm trying to speak it in a way where it's that I don't know where parents are of sharing certain things with their children, but it's biblical. It's here. Okay, so not to say men didn't know her. She was, lived in her father's house and was around many people, but they didn't know her that way. She's a virgin. Okay, going down to the spring, she filled her pitcher and went up. The servant ran up to meet her and said, "Give me a little water to drink from your pitcher." So she said, "Drink, sir." And she hurried and lowered the pitcher on her arm and gave him a drink until he stopped drinking. And she said, "I will fetch water for your camels, too, until they have all drunk." And she hurried and emptied the pitcher upon the water trough. And she ran to the well to draw water, and she fetched water for all the camels. The man was watching her and stayed silent to ascertain whether Yehovah had prospered his journey or not. It happened when all the camels ceased drinking. So here we can see she had continued until they stopped. The man took gold earrings, each a drachma in weight, and two armlets on her arms. Their weight was 10 golden pieces. And he asked her and said, "Daughter, whose are you? Tell me if there is a place for us to lodge with your father." And she said to him, "I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor." And she said to him, "With us there is both straw and much fodder and a place to lodge." And being content, the man worshipped Yehovah and said, "Blessed be Yehovah Elohe of my Lord Abraham, who has not abstained from righteousness and truth toward my master. Yehovah helped me on the way to the house of my Lord's kinsman." And after running off, the girl reported to the house of her mother concerning these matters. Rebekah had a brother whose name was Laban, and Laban ran to the man outside at the spring. Okay, so that's her brother. She had a brother. And this happened when he saw the earrings and the armlets on the arms of his sister, and when he heard the words of Rebekah, he said, saying, "The man spoke to me like this." Then he went to the man while he stood by the camels at the spring. Okay, so we see now Laban running after the man, the servant, after seeing what his sister had on her, and then what she had mentioned of that was spoken to her by him. In 31. And he said to him, "Come, enter. Blessed be Yehovah. Why are you standing outside? I have prepared the house and a place for the camels." The man came into the house and unpacked the camels, and gave the camels straw and fodder and water for his feet and the feet of the men with him. Hmm. Sorry. As I'm reading, I know I'm taking little like pauses here, and it's not because of the fact that maybe my sickness is still playing out in my thinking here, but there's just stuff that is like popping out to other areas of my thoughts of what I've come to read. And here it's like it seems like it's also like a different type of custom, I guess, because we can see where Yeshua took water to wash his disciples' feet. And I had never seen something also mentioned by that. I mean, there's plenty of thoughts, and we'll get to that point um, when Yeshua does that. But here, this Laban, he's doing this. I'm at the point where he, I'm at the part where he himself is excited to see this man, and then he blessed him by saying, "Blessed be the Lord." Okay, right here, it's not in capitals, so I don't know if to look at it like Yehovah or just he's just out of random just saying blessed any type of God. Um, I don't know how to look at that. But when I see this blessed be the Lord, it kind of reminds me of the the saying where my husband just taught on Psalms, not just this past Saturday, and Father mentions where many have gotten away of even expressing that type of blessing upon one another, of even putting him in that type of welcoming, you know, come enter, or come, or blessed blessed be the Lord. You know, my husband said something from the Psalm that Father speaks that people have stopped doing that. And of course, we can look to the example of Boaz and Ruth, and that's where it was kind of like something that was always kind of mentioned to bring in God into the conversation, just at like a cheerful greeting. And here we see the example coming from Laban, you know, where you're excited to see someone and you bless you bring in God right away and you bless them, you know. You welcome people with already announcing God in the midst of it. And then, of course, here we see him giving the camels straw and fodder. And then he goes on to say, and then he gives water for the servants' feet, and then the feet of the men with him, something like to clean the dust of their feet, to dust their feet off, to show that kind of um, care. I have no idea if it has anything to do with what Yeshua was doing by washing the feet, but I never seen where, because of course we don't do that today, where people come to your own house to visit, bringing them water for the feet. Of course, they would probably just have sandals and walking on the kind of desert ground around there. That because now we have socks and shoes. But anyways, sorry. That's the reason why I was pausing, because things were coming into my mind as I was reading. Like, hey, this is kind of feels similar when we read it, or when I've read it, or when I heard it. Okay. Carrying on. Sorry. Um, okay. And water for his feet, and the feet of the men with him, and he served them bread to eat. And he said, I will not eat until I have spoken my words. And they said, Speak. And he said, I am the servant of Abraham. Yehovah has blessed my master greatly, and he has been elevated, and he has given him sheep and calves, and silver and gold, servants and maids, camels and donkeys. And Sarah, the wife of my Lord, born bore one son for my master, after he had grown old, and he has given him everything he owns. And my master made me swear, saying, You shall not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I am living in their land. Rather, you should go to the house of my father. And to my tribe, and take a woman from my for my son from there. I said to my Lord, Perhaps the woman does not go with me. And he said to me, Yehovah Eloheh, whom I pleased in his presence, he himself will send out his angel with you, and will make your journey successful. And you will take a woman from my son, from my tribe, and from my father's house. So see, even like Abraham knew with full confidence, that father was going to make it happen. Because now we can see an extra what the conversation that was stated between Abraham and the servant, even in this little extra bit here, this little extra piece where he tells him, Yahweh Elohim, whom I pleased in his presence, he himself will send out his angel. So here we see that Abraham knows that he pleased Father. That's how I'm looking at it, unless it could be read a different way, but that's how I'm reading what Abraham is saying. And Yehovah Eloheh, whom I pleased in his presence, because that's who you have to know that is always around you. Father is everywhere. So in his presence, as long as you're pleasing in front of him, you're setting out to obey him, you know, you're pleasing him, then he's going to work in your favor. That's how I take it. So let's read it again. Yehovah Eloheh, whom I pleased in his presence, he himself will send out his angel with you and will make your journey successful. And you will take a woman for my son from my tribe and from my father's house. So you can have that same confidence. We all should have that same confidence. That's what I'm working at. That's why I can say excitingly something that I had never gotten to this position of really trying my hardest in front of Father's presence, knowing that He's always around me now, cautious with what I do, taking control of this, much more better because He reads minds, and you're just doing that. And now I can say that this sickness that came on my house didn't last long, and it was it was easy to get through. There was energy I can't describe to you, but things like that you can say in confidence, because you just know that if you're doing things right, he's going to make it prosper. He's going to bring it through. And so we can glean that from um, Father Abraham. Okay, and you will take a woman for my son from my tribe and from my father's house. Then you will be free from my vow. For if you come to my tribe and they do not give to you, then you will be free from my oath. Okay? Okay. And sorry, 42. And coming today to the spring, I said, Yehovah, Elohim, my Lord Abraham, if you prosper my journey, which I am now going on it, look, I stand near the spring of water, and the daughters of the people of the city will come out to draw water. And may it be that whichever maiden to whom I shall say, give me a little water to drink from your pitcher, and says to me, you drink, and I will fetch water for your camels. This is the woman whom Jehovah prepared for his attendant, Isaac. And by this I will know that you have shown mercy to my lord Abraham. And this happened before I finished speaking in my mind. At once Rebekah was going out, holding the pitcher on her shoulder, and she came down to the spring and fetched water. I said to her, give me a drink, and hurry and hurrying, she lowered the pitcher on her arm from herself and said, you drink, and I will water your camels. And I drank, and she watered my camels. And I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? Tell me. She declared, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, which Milcah bore to him. And I put on her the earrings um, and I put on her the earrings and the armlets on her arms. And being content, I worshipped Yehovah, and I blessed Yehovah, Elohim of my Lord Abraham, who helped me on the correct road to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. Okay, so before I carry on, I caught the little A right here. There's two little letters throughout this chapter, so I caught the first one, and it's on saying of the road, and it means the road of truth. That's the literal way you could say it that way. Who helped me on the road of truth. Okay. Or, like I said, who helped me on the correct road to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. If then you are showing mercy and righteousness to my Lord, tell me, so I can turn to the right or to the left. Answering, Laban and Bethuel said, this ordinance came forth from Jehovah. Therefore we will not be able to oppose you bad for good. I don't know. I've never really understood what's really being mentioned here, spoken of. Why why the servant feels to tell them, if then you are showing mercy and righteousness to my Lord, tell me so I can turn to the right or to the left. I feel like there is much more to know by that, but I don't get it, you know. If then you are showing mercy and righteousness to my Lord. I mean, if they're already showing that, then what's the whole? So I can turn to the right or to the left. And then answering Laban and Bethuel said, this ordinance came forth from Yehovah. Therefore, we will not be able to oppose you bad for good. So, I don't know, there is that if a man strikes you on one of the sides of your cheek, then give him the other. Where is that at? So I don't know if he's like, if what I've told you is unpleasing, because I guess he is like a servant. I guess that would be the mind of a servant, like for the master to strike them for something that displeases them in their hearing, is all I can assume that the servant is like, if what I'm saying to you is displeasing, let me know. But of course, I wouldn't know why he would have to say it if it's saying, if then you are showing mercy and righteousness to my Lord. It would have to be in a sense like if you're deciding not to show mercy or righteousness to your Lord, or to his Lord, Abraham, then let me know so I can turn to the right or to the left. Like, which one for you to strike me on? I don't know. That's just a thought, real quick. And then for them answering, like, if Father has said it, why are we going to oppose you with something, in a sense, like to do bad to you, or something that is good that is said by you? That's maybe. But hold on, let me find that one thing, that one verse. A man strikes you. Okay, Matthew 5:39. But I say to you, do not resist the one who is evil. But if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to him the other also. I don't know. I don't know if that is something to be thought on there. That is, it could be so, maybe. I don't know. I've never really understood why he had to say that. I never understood the conversation, but that's what's coming to my mind. Maybe. But I'll read it again. If then you are showing mercy and righteousness to my Lord, tell me. If you are, then tell me. I guess the other opposite thing is like, if you're not gonna tell me, then so I can turn to the right or to the left. Um, like, I'll give you the cheek that you need to strike me by. That's all I can assume is what was being meant. Maybe. Okay. Anyways, let's move forward. Answering Laban and Bethuel said, uh, "This ordinance came forth from Yehovah. Therefore, uh, this ordaining, this ordinance, um, this was done by Father. Um, therefore, we will not be able to oppose you bad for good. I don't know. And maybe it doesn't have to be necessarily something by a physical approach of it, if it was in the negative, but maybe even like what they would have to say in the negative could be like a slap to the face. Sometimes we even have that in modern thoughts today, where we can say something brutally mean, brutal to someone, and it's like being slapped on the face. I don't know. That's just by example. Anyways, let's carry on. 51. Um, Look, Rebecca is in front of you. Having received her, uh, having received her, leave and let her be a wife to the son of your master. Just as Yehovah said. It happened when the servant of Abraham heard these words, he prostrated himself on the earth to Yehovah. Okay, so we do see that this servant is very respectful to Father. We saw where he admitted that, or when he was speaking to them about the whole how it came about, and then he worshipped Father right away for having it turning out exactly how he was hoping to get confirmation. So we saw where he stated that he worshipped him. I guess what? Oh yeah, by verse 48, and being content, I worshipped Yehovah. And then now we see he goes before Father again. It happened when the servant of Abraham heard their words, he prostrated himself on the earth to Yehovah, because it just turned out successful. All these good news for his master Abraham. Okay, 53, and that's how we all that's what I'm working on. That's what we all gotta be doing. Understanding that Father is in every situation, working things out while we're moving about, as we're thinking it, as we're speaking it, to have that type of reverence, just like the servant. I love the story of Isaac and Rebecca, but I don't know if it's them necessarily, or if I just really care because of how the servant is. It's a mixture. It's everything, I guess. Father's word is good. Okay, 53. And having brought out silver and gold vessels and clothing, the servant gave them to Rebekah, and he gave gifts to her brother and to her brothers and her mother. And they ate and drank, he and the men who were with him, and they went to sleep. And having arisen in the morning, he said, Send me away in order that I may depart to my Lord. Her brothers and mother said, Let the maiden remain with us about 10 days, and after this she will depart. But he said to them, Do not hold me back. Now Yehovah prospered my journey. Dispatch me in order that I may depart to my Lord. But they said, Let us call the girl and ask her directly. And they summoned Rebekah and said to her, Will you go with this man? And she said, I will go. So they sent out Rebekah, their sister, and her possessions, and the servant of Abraham, and those with him. And they blessed Rebekah, their sister, and said to her, "You are our sister. Become thousands of myriads, and let your offspring inherit the cities of their enemies." Myriads. Hey, what's myriads? Thousands. Become thousands of thousands, and let your offspring inherit the cities of their enemies. So now they're putting a blessing on her before she leaves, saying a farewell prayer upon her. So they're just saying, in a sense, like, may your DNA, that's how I kind of look at it, may your DNA be, bountiful, become thousands, many, many, many Rebeccas out there. That's how it looks like to me, anyways. And they blessed Rebekah, their sister, and said to her, "You are our sister. Become thousands of myriads, thousands, and let your offspring inherit the cities of their enemies." Okay, verse 61. After arising, Rebekah and her companions got up on the camels, and they went with the person. And taking along Rebekah, the servant departed. Now Isaac was going through the wilderness in the region of the well of the vision. In the region of the well of the vision. Now, is this like a well? Like, because remember, we did read where Abraham dug up a well, and that one was the well of oath. Now, is this a well with another name called well of vision? Or is it the region itself that was once called well of vision? I don't know. I do not know. Yeah, well of the oath is what I remember that title of that well was called. And now we see he's in the wilderness in the region of the well of the vision. Thinking maybe it's another well within the region. Okay. But only the map would know. Unless I go and search it. If it's still existent. He was dwelling in the land that is to the south. That's to the south. And Isaac came out to chat in the plain toward the evening. And looking up with his eyes, he saw the camels coming. And when she looked up with her eyes, Rebekah saw Isaac and leaped down from the camel. And she said to the servant, "Who is that person who is coming on the plain to meet us?" The servant said, "This is my lord." She, taking her veil, covered herself. And the servant described to Isaac all the matters that he accomplished. Isaac entered into the house of his mother and took Rebekah, and she became his wife. And he loved her. And Isaac was comforted concerning Sarah, his mother. Okay, so it kind of seemed like it just happened boom like that. Like, they went into the house and just like that they got married that one day. Um and she became his wife. Or it could just be in a sense, finally, just a quick summary, like a shortened um, understanding of what really happened. It's just like shortened. It's just like letting us know that, um, you know, after the servant told him, Isaac entered the house of his mother and took Rebecca, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted concerning Sarah. But I don't know. I don't see it as happening um, all at once, like that one day. I mean, it can. You can't say that it couldn't, but I think it's just kind of like giving us an ending here, a sweet and simple summary that of all these things that took place. And I think it's much more bigger than that. Entering the house, and then she did become his wife. How much he cared for her, he loved her so much, and then he was comforted. You know, now that his he had someone, comforted when he didn't have his mom anymore, and that takes care of the chapter. But yeah, just to look over this last bits before closing out with prayer. It's really beautiful, but I think it's more or less like it's really on the servant and how even him, you know, Father used the servant to show us that how he even honored Father through it all. Praying to Father, we could see that Abraham did teach his people to even fear his servants, to even bless Yehovah, and he even went with that great faith and his obedience, and how he carried his faith in Father, and how he was excited to see these things happen, that Father was hearing his prayer, this one servant's prayer, the whole way through. Let's see here. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else to add before I close out. I don't know. I don't know how you ladies out there, uh, single or married, how it would be for you to just up and wanna leave your own people, going far, never meeting the man, never meeting him. But I guess you're comfortable in the sense because their family, regardless. She's never met him, but she knows their family because that's Abraham's brother Nahor, but his children, Bethuel, and um, Bethuel is the son of Nahor, and that's his daughter. So she knows she's going in good hands, so she knows it's family. But to still go, never having you know, met him before, would be exciting but nervous, you know? I mean, I've seen certain movies where it has, or maybe just one. I think I've just only seen a movie of a betrothal, And when the girl when the girl got her to take the veil off, or when the boy was going to marry her and he took her veil off, she got to see what he looked like, and she was just like, ah. But I don't know. It's exciting, but nervous, I would say. But it kind of makes me think of what we have today, us being Yeshua's chosen, bride. Well, we have yet to meet him, metaphorically, he's our bridegroom, and he's our master, and we have yet to meet him, and we're on this journey to go to him. So there's that. Hmm. I guess that is all I have in my thoughts, as from what I am understanding things here, anyways, or what I feel maybe it is saying. But I don't know. It's a beautiful story. And so, what can we take from it, or what am I taking from it? Really, it truly is just the faith of the servant, and how I already said it, and how he too reverenced Yehovah, and how Father even, you know, was with him. And we should have that confidence. And even to the confidence of how we read, or how I showed you how I was reading it by Father Abraham. It's just by habit that I say that. Abraham, um, how he was confident in his prayer to show his servant, you're going to be fine. Because I'm pleasing in Father's presence, it's going to send the angel. So we need it. Got to get into that believing, trusting, knowing, and always just know that be right in Father's eyes, and all things will go well for you. You know, there is that promise even said, for children obeying their parents. Uh, when you obey your mom and dad, the parents, it will go well for you. It's a command. It's a promise on that command. And what is Father to us? He's our Father. So, but anyways, that's it. That's it for today. We got through the chapter. We'll be in chapter 25. And as far as, oh, I did tell you guys there was that little letter B, huh? I didn't see it as I kept reading. Sorry. Before we go, just give me one small moment. I'm going to try to find it as quickly as I can. There's the A, just found that one again. Okay, I found it. It is on verse 57, and it says, "But they said, 'Let us call the girl and ask her directly.'" The little letter B is by the word directly, and it just says mouth, literally mouth. "Let us call the girl and ask her mouth." I guess to hear by her mouth. That's all I can assume. But anyways, that takes care of the chapter, and see if there wasn't a little letter in the beginnings of it. think there was. On this page, I think it was in the beginning of the top. But yeah, I pray this was a blessing uh, to see how it was for the servant. I hope you all are blessed to see that Father is always with everybody, you know, everybody. But anyways, may your week turn out beautiful, and I shall see you all again next Monday. Let's pray to Father and thank Him. Abba Yehovah, I give you praise and thanks for showing us, you know, that you're always with everybody. As long as many of us come to uh, your word, come to see that you you are with all your creation, you're with each and every one of us. As long as we look to the examples of those that were pleasing in your sight, like how Abraham has shown, and when we are pleasing, there's other places that we already had read previously as well, where you said it. As long as we stay, you know, pleasing in your sight, then we'll be prosperous. Things will prosper. You know, even at before our prayer is even fully out of our mouth, you know what we are in need of. You know what we are in hopes for. Even if we don't say them, you read our minds. So I pray, Abba, that we do stay mindful to these things that we're coming to know. So this way, we're always pleasing in your sight, both in mind, body, spirit, in the heart of everything, Abba. May we always have strength, knowing this, your strength that is within us. In Yeshua's name, Abba, we thank you and we submit ourselves unto you. In Yeshua's name, amen. All right, everybody, have a blessed week, and I shall see you on Monday. Love you all.